order. Today is April 24th, 2020, and it is 3 p.m. And so if we could start the recording, I would appreciate it. Just a notice to all the members that are on the meeting here that this is a recorded meeting and it will be an official hearing, and we will be doing some voting. When we vote, I would ask that when I ask for the ayes, that you say aye, and then also hold your hand up in front of the screen, because we want a visual vote as well as a voice vote. So if we could follow that, it would work out very well. So we will go ahead, and if anybody has any questions, you can raise your hand. That's on the lower left hand, where it'll ask you if you want, it asks you, allow you to click on your hand and raise it when you get done speaking. If you click, and then your hand will go down. Also, if you're when you speak, you'll have to unmute your computer. And when you get done, if you would mute yourself so we don't have a bunch of background noise. So with that said, today we have two bills. We have Senate File 3184 and Senate File 3312. So to get started, Senator Nelson, would you move Senate File 3184 to recommended to pass?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to move Senate File 3184, the Vaping Awareness and Prevention Act, do pass after our hearing. And Mr. Chair, I also have an author's amendment. It is the A1 amendment.
Senator Nelson moves that Senate File 3384 be recommended to pass. Senator Nelson also has the A1 amendment. That is an author's amendment. So all those in favor signify by saying aye. So please unmute the members.
Senator, we do have a quorum.
Members, we do have a quorum. And all those in favor, if you would say aye and raise your hand on your screen.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay, and give a thumbs up on the screen. The ayes have it, the motion carries. Senator Nelson, would you like to talk about your amendment before we turn it over to the council to speak on the bill, or do you want to have to speak on both?
Mr. Chair, I'll have council go through both the bill as amended.
So if the Senate Council, if Anne Marie, if you could go through the bill as amended, we would appreciate it. So please go ahead whenever you're ready.
Just a minute, I'm struggling, but I will get it. Let's get the bill up.
You're good.
Okay.
If you would like to go ahead, Anne Marie.
Yeah, I will. I was having trouble getting in, so now I need to pull the bill back up again. I had to shut everything down.
Sure. Yep.
Sorry about that. And of course, I'm slow.
Well, Mr. Chair, while Ms. Lewis is getting that up, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the co-sponsors.
Go ahead, Senator Nelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do want to thank Senator Clausen, Senator Rosen, Senator Swadzinski, and Senator Uyghur. And you are all on this committee as well, except it looks like Senator Rosen is not. But I do appreciate your great support on this Vaping Awareness and Prevention Act. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Senator Nelson.
All right, Mr. Chair, if people are ready, I have a Senate File 3184, the Vaping Awareness and Prevention Act. Section 1 provides definitions, as well as the title for the act to be referred to as the Vaping Awareness and Prevention Act, and defines several terms, one being electronic delivery service, then heated tobacco product, public school, as well as what vaping means. Then I believe the amendment took out subdivision 3, which was a requirement on the agencies to provide materials. Then would be the new subdivision 3, school instruction requirements, then directs public schools to use evidence-based research, or use research to provide vaping prevention instruction at least once to students in grades 6 through 12, I mean, excuse me, 6 through 8, and then a encouraging language to provide that instruction to students in grades 9 through 12. And then the final subdivision is a direction to the Commissioner of Education to include questions regarding tobacco use and vaping in the Minnesota Student Survey.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Members, are there any questions for council or for Senator Nelson on Senate File 3184?
I'll be glad to make some comments, Mr. Chair.
There being no questions, Senator Nelson, if you want to make a few comments, then we'll go to the testifiers.
Yes, thank you very much. Today, I'm very glad, members, that this bill is up. It is part of the comprehensive solution needed to reverse the youth e-cigarette epidemic. As you, I know, have heard often, I'm also the chief author of our statewide Tobacco 21 bill and a strong supporter of many of the other proposals to take on big tobacco. We truly need a comprehensive solution, and the bill before you today is part of that. I'd like to put just a little bit of context, give you just a little bit of context about why this bill is so important right now, particularly. Thanks to many decades of investments in tobacco control and prevention in Minnesota, youth cigarette smoking is or was at a historic low. Unfortunately, rising e-cigarette use has erased decades of progress to reduce youth tobacco overall. Last year's Minnesota Student Survey had some telling and chilling findings. I'll just share a very few of them with you. Overall, it showed a steep rise in e-cigarette use among students, particularly among 8th grade students. E-cigarette use nearly doubled from 2016 to 2019. And 1 in 4 11th graders now use e-cigarettes. Students in all grades surveyed use e-cigarettes and vapes at 5 times the rate of conventional cigarettes. I'll give you some of those exact numbers. Significant increases among all students in grade 2016 through in all grades from 2016 to 2019 look like this. In grade 8, there was a 95% increase in the number of students who vaped. And in grade 9, there was a 75% increase in students who vaped in the past 30 days. And in grade 11, there was a 54% increase in the number of students who had vaped in the past 90 days. And we know that products like e-cigarettes, vapes, the e-hookahs typically contain nicotine, which is highly addictive. And we know that it can harm brain development as teens grow. We know that no amount of nicotine is safe for youth, as there may be long-term damaging effects on learning, memory, attention, behavior problems, and future addiction. So that is the use. And then we also found that many students are not aware of the dangers of e-cigarette use. The survey also found that Minnesota youth are ill-informed about health risks from e-cigarettes. And sometimes that's because they are advertised as being safe or safer than cigarettes. 76% of 11th graders say there is either no, slight, or moderate risk of using e-cigs. That is a staggering number. Over 3/4 of 11th graders saying there is no slight or moderate risk to using e-cigarettes. So that is why this provision is so important. I just want to give a few of those grounding comments, Mr. Chair, and then if we could turn this over to our testifiers, please. I'm looking for Chair Dames.
I think he's muted.
Oh, Chair Dames, can you take, there you go.
I have myself muted. We do have 3 testifiers that will be testifying for the bill. And I apologize, I'm sure going to probably mispronounce this name, but the first one is Arjan, student and youth leader at Edina High School. So if you would please introduce yourself and state who you're with and proceed with your testimony.
I'm Arjun Maheshwari. And
welcome to the E12 committee.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Arjun Maheshwari, and I'm a junior at Edina High School, and I'm here to offer a perspective on this youth-driven piece of legislation. In May 2017, Edina was the first city in Minnesota to raise the tobacco sale age to 21. Since then, 60 other Minnesota communities have passed this policy. Tobacco 21 is an important first step, but unfortunately, there's still a lot that needs to be done. That's why since last summer, I've been working with Senator Nelson and Representative Edelson to address the omnipresent vaping problem that plagues our schools. We assembled a diverse team of students to help draft and advocate for these two bills, which are now one, as a substantive first step to addressing the problem. Through the process of consulting with interest groups and hundreds of students, teachers, principals, and superintendents across the state, we found a vast deficit, as Senator Nelson just mentioned, in education surrounding vaping in our middle and high schools. In turn, we have built a coalition of statewide educators and students alike to help support this piece of legislation as a crucial first step. Now, one may ask, why education? Why schools? The answer is, it's because there's a lack of awareness. Just as with cigarettes in the previous generations, youth receive a lot of misleading information from the tobacco industry who claim that their products are safe and fun. The only way to initiate any future reform is to bring awareness to the issue, and that starts in the classroom. The only way to empower students to make the right choices for themselves is to inform them of the harms in the first place. Ultimately, we need your support. I hope you will vote yes on Senate File 3184 as a part of a wide-ranging effort to address youth tobacco use. By no means is this a panacea to this expansive and complex problem, but teachers, students, and hopefully legislators are united in these bills as a solid first step. If we let this problem proliferate unchecked, we will soon have a generation-wide public health crisis. If we do not spend money on this issue now, we will bear a far greater cost in the future. Thank you for standing against the vaping industry and making a big difference in the lives of my classmates and for generations to come.
Well, thank you, Arjan. We certainly appreciate it. And we do have Senator Torres Ray. I see you have your hand up. If you would unmute yourself and go ahead. Senator Torres Ray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm sorry, technology is slow. I don't have questions for the testifiers, Mr. Chair. I just had a question prior to the testifiers, but I'll wait until you hear the testimony and get back to it, if that's okay.
You.
Thank
you. And if you'd like to put your hand down.
I certainly will. Thank you.
Thank you. The next testifier is Lisa Smith from the Health and Physical Education teacher at Lakeville High School. Lisa, if you would introduce yourself and state who you're with and proceed with your testimony.
Hello, Mr. Chair and community members. I am Lisa Smith, and I'm a health and physical education teacher at Lakeville South High School. I'm also the president of the Minnesota Society of Health and Physical Educators, known as MinShape. Today, in the United States, there are more than 5 million teens using e-cigarettes regularly. This is a whole generation that may grow up with addiction problems, and these are my students and our future leaders. This health crisis is disrupting learning, and it deserves urgent attention, starting with the Vaping Awareness and Prevention Act. When it comes to e-cigarettes in youth, there are 3 main areas for concern. First, nicotine's damaging effects on the brain. Second, the damage that the flavorings and other chemicals can do to a young person's lungs and body. And finally, underpinning this crisis is the systemic lack of student support and resources. Nearly all e-cigarettes contain nicotine, and the devices currently popular among teens have a very high amount of nicotine in them. For example, each Juul pod contains more nicotine than an entire pack of cigarettes. I hear from teachers and parents and all of my students that some teens are going through multiple Juul packs every single day, which is an extremely high level of nicotine running through their bodies. And as a result, we're seeing nicotine withdrawal, attention and learning issues, and even examples of nicotine poisoning known as NICSIC. In our health class, we cover a wide range of issues while developing a student's health literacy through comprehensive skill-based health curriculum, and it includes mental wellness, crisis intervention, CPR, nutrition, safe media use, relationships, sexual health, drugs, alcohol, and for years, we've taught youth about the harms of tobacco use, and it's worked. We're in need of the best and most up-to-date evidence-based information to inform youth about e-cigarettes and vaping. We know that education cannot completely accomplish the entire goal, but it is so important, especially considering the vast misinformation that we have out there. Even today, many young people misperceive the dangers of e-cigarettes, underestimate the addictive nature, don't realize that it even contains nicotine, and they completely overlook the effects vaping has on the lungs. I know this was already stated earlier by Senator Nelson, but it is a staggering statistic that in 2019, Minnesota students, our students, found that in the student survey, found that 76% of juniors said that there is no or slight or a moderate risk to using e-cigarettes. This is a major concern. And therefore, there is an acute need for this instruction, you guys, and it is simple for us to integrate this life-saving information to our classrooms and schools. Please support this bill as a part of a comprehensive effort to help our youth avoid tobacco and addiction. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. And next we have Angela Norton, representative from Cambria. Cambria Cares. Angela, if you're available, if you would please unmute yourself and go ahead with your presentation.
I am available. Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Angela Norton. I am a senior marketing director at Cambria. A few months ago, we found ourselves at work, kind of gathering and discussing the dangers of vaping, the increase in use that we saw in our kids and at their schools, and really the worry we had over their overall health. What pushed our anger over the edge was, like Senator Nelson mentioned, the fact that Juul and other manufacturers were downright lying to us and to our kids through these ads that were targeting our youth, and they were making them think that e-cigarettes were a safe alternative to traditional smoking. As a company, we decided to take action. We quickly launched a peer-to-peer education campaign that we call They Lied, We Know. Our goal was to give high school students the tools to educate their peers and make them understand the health risks involved in vaping. The kids don't want to be lectured from adults, but they will listen to each other. We created an impactful video and a kiosk that created an environment where the kids could talk about these issues with each other right in the halls of their own schools. We launched a website, a social media campaign, and an educational brochure. We created a plan to get a group of students on board to lead the charge within the school. We educated these kids and we started the movement at Minnetonka High School this past fall. The kids handed out t-shirts, they gave quizzes, they signed a pledge banner and spread the word about how harmful e-cigarettes can be and acknowledged that they now know the dangers. They lied, we know. At the beginning of the year, we also brought our program to St. Peter High School, Mankato East High School, and Mankato West High School, and had just kicked off at New Prague High School and middle schools when the kids were sent home. We had planned to finish the year at Mankato Loyola, Osseo, Minneapolis Washburn, among others. We have over a dozen interested schools that want to bring the program into their locations this fall because they understand what a serious issue this is. But Cambria can't solve this problem alone, which is why we need additional measures to fight this battle, including the bills that we heard about today. These proposals will ensure every Minnesota student receives clear information about how dangerous and life-threatening e-cigarettes can be and will help monitor use in schools. While the efforts that Cambria has tried to do are strong, and we've certainly made an impact in the schools we've been able to touch, we're still playing catch up. And meanwhile, kids are still becoming hooked on vaping. We need to use all the resources at our disposal to combat the crisis. We all need to work together to make this happen and to lower vaping rates in our youth. I urge you to support Senate File 3184. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ms. Norton. And if the testifiers could please stay around for a bit in case there are questions. Next, are there any other testifiers that would like to testify in support of the bill? Seeing none, are there any testifiers that would like to test against the bill? Seeing none, members, are there any questions for the author of the bill, Senator Nelson, or the testifiers?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Senator Uyghur.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And Senator Nelson, thank you. And to the testifiers, and also recognizing the bipartisanship on this important legislation. In fact, Governor Walz, who just got off on his 2 o'clock presser, mentioned the importance of addressing vaping and the nexus to COVID. Having a compromised immunization system puts those people more at risk. So it is timely. And we support this, and as well as a package that can go forward, it is needed. I'm looking though, at the time right now in terms of how much is left for the session and perhaps the need to bundle a number of proposals together and not knowing if there's a chance to ask questions or at the end of the hearing if we'll have time. We have just over 500 hours left before sine die, and we need to get a package on the floor and passed and get a conference committee. And so I just wanted to mention that. I know we all agree and are concerned about this issue, about the disruption that distance learning has caused, as the inequities further amplified, mental health, et cetera. So I just wanted to make that point with the hope that in addition to this, we can get a package. And as Senator Nelson and others know, we have a number of proposals agreed to, and I just would strongly implore that we get this on the Senate floor, a package next week, then proceed to pass something and then get it to conference committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Uyghur. Senator Torres Ray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to offer an amendment related to the comments from our minority lead, from Senator Uyghur, and concerns that I brought to the attention of the committee last time we met. I don't know, Mr. Chair, if our chair was able to get in touch with the different districts. As we stated, it would be an important issue. I did talk to my districts, and I want to tell you that we have right now one of the most significant needs I've ever seen. I received the statistics from Minneapolis. Of the 16,000 kids that don't have computers right now, 8,000 of them are African American. 8,000 Black kids do not have a computer. 3,000 of them are Latinos, and the list goes on. I will be happy to send it. So of the 30,000 plus kids that attend Minneapolis school district, half of them are kids of color. Half of these kids don't have a computer. And almost 100% of them are minority children who live in poverty. So this amendment is to address this issue. And Mr. Chair and members, I have to tell you, I hear from other friends who have similar concerns about their districts. Rural Minnesota does not have the districts in rural Minnesota do not have the resources to provide this connection to schools. And we just learned that the school year is going to end in the same situation that is now. So we're not going to reopen schools. So my amendment, Mr. Chair and members, is related to this issue, and my hope is that I can get your support.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, could we please see the amendment? I don't know that anyone has seen the amendment yet, but it would be very important to get that to staff and to members so we can one, see if the amendment, how the amendment fits in the bill, and then, of course, be informed voters.
Madam Chair, my apologies. I thought that you had this. I know the staff had been working on it, but please remind me how I could I'm not sure about how to get this information to everyone. So I know that, the staff has been coordinating this and figuring it out. So I presume, and if the staff can please help me, I assume that this was emailed to all of you. I don't
Senator
know.
Torres-Ray.
Hang on a minute, Senator Torres-Ray. Greg, have you seen a copy of this amendment? Do you have a copy?
Yes, Senator. It was just sent out as Senator Torres-Ray was completing her comments. I believe Jenna sent it via email to you all now.
Okay.
Thank you so
So-
much. And again, Madam Chair, Mr. Chair, I do understand the complexities of this, and it's a very simple amendment. I'll read it to you. I don't think my hope is that we're able to support this. So it directs the Department of Education to use $14 million of the unencumbered funds from the CARES Act for mental health support and technology needs for the districts. And it will give $14 per student to the districts. And it directs the Department of Education to provide the $20 million, which is $22 per student from the permanent school trust fund, be used for technology and connection and mental health. And then it does an appropriation of $8 million for broadband access to schools, and it is distributed, to all districts. I am hoping that, with members, we can work to make some school districts a priority, because I understand that rural Minnesota has more problems with connectivity than perhaps some other districts. So we can work with you to figure out, what is the best formula to make sure that those who need it most will have access to the same. Some members have expressed a real desire to help students who are very low income, so that we can attach some kind of distribution that really helps the students where we have more poverty. So I'm open to that, but I'm hoping that you can entertain this idea just to really alleviate this, because we're almost done with the school year and we haven't done this. So I believe this is the most urgent issue right now, and I hope I can have your support.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair? Hello?
I think
Mr.
something
Chair.
happened.
We are seeing somebody's screen that is not sure whose it is. Oh, it's Senator Clausen's screen. Senator Clausen, you're showing us your screen. And Mr. Chair, can you hear me? Mr. Chair, you're on mute. You need to unmute your button on the bottom left corner.
Thank you, Senator Nelson.
Yes.
Yes, please, if you've seen the amendment, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And Senator Torres-Ray, thank you for bringing up this very important topic. No, I managed to see Senator Clausen's screen, but not quite your amendment yet. But definitely you've identified a very important issue, which is mental health. What I would like to do, since we have not seen this amendment, and I'm not sure how it fits into the vape legislation, I would like to ask the chair to call for a 15-minute recess until we can actually get our eyes on the amendment and understand how it fits or does not into this particular piece of legislation before us.
At the request of Senator Nelson, the committee will take a 15-minute recess, so we will be back here at 3:44, and we can look at the amendment in the meantime.
Yes,
so we'll just take a recess.
I want to make sure.
Go ahead, Senator Nelson.
I just want to make sure all members have access to that so they can see what that is.
If the members have not seen or do not have a copy of the amendment on their screen, on their computer, please raise your hand.
Senator Swad doesn't. I don't think I do either.
I do, Madam or Mr. Chair. and Madam Chair, but I'll be offering an amendment to the amendment as well. Would it be an appropriate time for me to issue that amendment so you could peruse that as well, or should we wait?
Mr. Chair?
Well, I would say that we should go ahead and do the amendment to the amendment so that we have both of them to look at, but I wouldn't make the assumption that the bill is going to get passed.
I understand. I just wanted to be respectful of everybody's time.
Senator Swedinski, if you want to amend the amendment.
I do.
Please proceed.
I would like to amend the amendment with the which one is, sorry.
Senator Swedinski, I'm going to interrupt you for 1 minute because we have to rescind the going into recess because we're not going to recess. So we'll rescind that. So now proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to amend the amendment with the A3 amendment, please, Mr. Chair.
And Greg, do you have a copy of the A3 amendment? Has a copy been made available to you?
Me?
No, to Greg.
Yes, Senator, I've just received a copy of that one as well.
And can you send that out?
Yes, as soon as I leave this screen, I'll go ahead and try to send that out to the larger E12 listserv.
Good. And so in the meantime, Senator Swedinski, if you would like to go ahead and explain your amendment.
Yeah, my amendment deals with the hourly workers that are kind of taking a back seat on this entire thing. Lieutenant Governor Flanagan just alluded to it during her press conference today at 2 o'clock. And I think it's imperative that the laid off furloughed workers that have been spending the entire year building relationships, as so many of people, members of this committee have talked about constantly, it's all about relationships. And when the pre-K, particularly the pre-K hourly workers that are working with those kids trying to close the achievement gap and the opportunity gap, when those teachers are being furloughed, doesn't do anybody any good. And so in order to help close the achievement opportunity gap, I think those hourly workers, they're not vital, they're not critical, they're essential workers. And they're the cogs in the wheel that are going to close the achievement gap and get those kids ready. And so to lay them off and it's a lose-lose situation for the tens of thousands of kids and tens of thousands of workers, and ultimately to the state of Minnesota. So,
thank you, Senator Swedinski. Senator Nelson, do you want to respond?
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you so much. Members, I am afraid that it's unfortunate that these very good intentions, well-intended amendments have not been shared more broadly. You'll recall that as we do online Zooming, one of the most important things was to get amendments to members so they could actually see them. And as I will certainly get to look at those as we go into recess. But at the moment, members, since we've not actually seen the amendments, we've not been able to see how they fit together, and we are short on time, as Senator Uyghur mentioned, we have many, many things to do. I would suggest that right now, we accept the amendments and then go into recess.
Madam Chair, if that is your wish, we will. We have the two amendments. So if Greg, if we could make sure that everybody.
Mr. Chair, I misspoke. We will accept the amendments and we will lay the bill on the table while we go into recess.
Senator Nelson accepts the two amendments. We will lay the motion on the table.
I have a
and
question,
go into
Mr.
recess.
Chair. I have a question, Mr. Chair, before we move.
Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to ask, I did not know that that Senator Swedzinski was going to offer an amendment to my amendment. I know that his amendment and the language that he's proposing has already been debated. And I know that this is an issue that is well known by all of you. And I would like to ask the senator to please separate the amendments. You can offer the amendment later, but I would appreciate if you don't amend my amendment, which is a separate issue, a different issue. And I know that this is a contentious issue. I don't want to attach that to a pressing issue impacting predominantly low-income children in urban and rural districts. This is a priority. We need to address it. This is a crisis. And I would like to ask if you could please put your amendment in a separate amendment. I do not want this to be included in this amendment.
Senator Torres Ray, we are going to take a break. That can be discussed when we come back. So at this point in time, the chair declares it at a recess. We'll be in recess for 15 minutes. We'll be approximately 10 minutes to 4. So please stay here and be back at 10 minutes to 4. We are in recess.
Hi, Greg.
Hang in there. Keep your head up.
Yeah, how did that, I screwed up, huh?
Education Committee, E12 Education, Finance and Policy Committee back to order. Senator Nelson.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, that definitely was a first. We're just getting used to virtual meetings, virtual amendments, and now we had a virtual recess. Members, while those amendments are certainly well intended, I don't know, the public has not seen them yet either. They've not been able to even be posted yet. But with that, members, we will first of all, I thank the testifiers. I want to particularly thank Cambria. They are stepping up and stepping into the importance of educating teenagers about the issues of vaping, and they've done a wonderful job with Escape the Vape. With that, Mr. Chair and members, we will lay Senate File 3184 on the table.
Senator Nelson moves to lay Senate File 3184 on the table. The motion is laid on the table. Senator Nelson, next we have Senate File 3312. Would you please move to bring Senate File 3312 in front of the Senate Education Committee?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I do move Senate File 3312 do pass. There are no amendments, and it's a very simple bill, but if I could just have council just briefly describe that. Senate File 3312.
If Ms. Lewis would please describe Senate File 3312, I would appreciate it. Ms. Lewis.
Takes me a minute to unmute myself. Okay. This adds Senate File 3312 adds an additional acceptable use for the Safe Schools Levy. It adds allows districts to pay for costs associated with purchasing, installing, and maintaining devices that detect vapor.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Senator Nelson, any further comments before we take testimony?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There is no pro or con testimony that I'm aware of, but just to be clear that this adds one more use to Safe Schools dollars, which would allow those to be used for purchasing, installing, and maintaining devices that detect vapor. So this bill is a good companion to the bill that we just heard, Senate File 3184.
Thank you, Senator Nelson. Members, are there any questions on Senate File 3312?
Mr. Chair, I have my hand raised.
Senator Clausen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was going to speak in support of Senator Torres Ray's amendment, but since that's gone by, I'd just like to make a comment on Senate File 3312. I think there are all but 2 school districts in the state of Minnesota that are at their levy limit for the safe schools. And if we are to introduce another option, it really would require to raise that levy for some additional dollars. And so that's a concern I want to express. I do support the bill. I think this is a good use of Safe Schools levy. I'm just concerned that the vast majority of our schools in Minnesota will not have the capacity to increase their levy to make this happen.
Thank you, Senator Clausen. Are there any other folks with any questions or comments? Any committee members, senators? Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, Senator Nelson, final comments.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, committee members. Certainly, Senator Clausen raises a good point. We're in a different era right now. Certainly, our state budget is giving us all some concern, and we are thankful for assistance from the feds. But I do believe, I appreciate your support, Senator Clausen. I do think this is a good bill, providing a little bit more flexibility for our schools to handle this vaping crisis. With that, I renew my motion that 3312 do pass.
Senator Nelson renews her motion that Senate File 3312 do pass. All those signify by saying aye. Please vote verbally and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Please vote verbally and raise your hand. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Senator Nelson, I will now turn the meeting over to you.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Senator Dames. Committee members, thank you for your good work today in this virtual mode. We will have a few more virtual committee meetings, and I would like to remind you to get action on amendments. It's almost imperative that you get those out ahead of time so that members can see them, but most importantly, also so that they are posted so the public can see those as well. We're doing our very best to make sure that our state legislative actions are fully visible to the public. And so we want to make sure that happens. Senator Clausen, I want to thank you for sending the email yesterday or the day before from one of your schools. And I thought that there were excellent comments in here regarding what we are learning with and through our distance learning experience of the last few weeks. And as we heard in the governor's press conference yesterday, no surprise, I don't believe anyone really felt that our schools were going to reconvene in the manner and mode as they usually do. And the governor extended the distance learning mode for the end of the school year. And if you've been listening also to the commissioners, the health commissioners, as we navigate through this pandemic crisis, we just don't have any guarantees about what the fall is going to look like either. And there have been some speculation that there will be, the peak has gotten really, we did such a good job with our social distancing that the peak has been moved from April now out until July. And so we could be seeing we could very well be seeing challenges in the fall as well. And I think it's important that we learn through this distance learning mode. And Senator Clausen, I was wondering if you would like to discuss some of the pieces. And I believe that all members now, probably about a half hour ago when we started our committee meeting, or actually earlier this morning, it looks like it came out, Thursday, if you could kindly, I want to make sure you all have this email, and I think it would be helpful. We have just a few minutes. I think it'd be helpful to discuss what we have learned. And Senator Clausen, I'll turn it over to you to start regarding what you have heard from your district. This is Rosemount, Apple Valley, Egan Public Schools. You may have others as well. But are there things that you have heard from your districts and that you think we should be aware of as we move forward? Senator Clausen.
Thank you, Senator Nelson. I appreciate the time that you've given me here today. Mary Krieger is the superintendent of District 196, Rosemount, Apple Valley, Egan Public Schools. It's the fourth largest district in the state with approximately 30,000 students. And I've been in contact with her over the past several weeks. And she put this together as just an open letter to the public and talking about what they've been experiencing. And it's a good overview. One of the things that I was going to point out relating to Senator Torres Ray's bill was that they have experienced the same thing about distance learning serves some children better than others and shines a light on the inequities that exist well before this pandemic. They've spent over $176,000 buying hotspots for areas in the district so that students can get internet access. And that's an area that in Rosemount, we actually received a broadband grant to expand internet access in that area. So it just points out, even in the metro area, we have some problems. And I would guess that in outstate Minnesota and other areas, it's even a more difficult situation.
Hey, sorry about you. Are we planning TC? I think that's what some folks are seeing.
Senator Chamberlain, I think your mic is coming through to the Education Committee.
Okay.
Senator Clausen, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. There's some good comments in there from teachers, from parents. I would just like to turn your attention to that in many ways it's going well. They have had some issues with students not engaged. And I know I've talked to teachers, they've done a great job of contacting those parents, asking for their help. I saw the other day in my neighborhood, there was a parade of elementary teachers in cars with balloons going around from home to home and writing on the children's driveways, letting them know that they are cared for and wanting to get back to school. So I think another thing that Superintendent Krieger pointed out with this is an opportunity to rethink education for the future. And I think over the next few weeks and months, perhaps we'll be learning a great deal. So I just like, again, turn your attention to that. You can look it over, but I think it's a good overview from a superintendent standpoint of a large district, what's happened over the last 3 or 4 weeks. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Clausen. Truly, these comments are being echoed bipartisanly, not just in Minnesota, but really across the nation. We believe that education is really, it's going to come out on the other side of this coronavirus pandemic, and we believe it will look very different. And to Senator Torres Ray's point, it is absolutely essential that we make sure all of our children have the resources to participate in whatever distance learning, digital learning looks like. But we know that the digital economy and that digital learning particularly are going to continue to increase and accelerate through this pandemic. And we cannot afford to further exacerbate our often leading nation achievement gap because not all children have access to the tools that are necessary for distance learning or digital learning. Senator Torres Ray, you will be glad to know that, or you might recall, we are working on a bill to provide additional broadband support, particularly for distance learning. And the language, it started out to be as first come, first serve. I serve on the Finance Committee, so you can go back and look at the Finance Committee notes there. But the bill came to Finance earlier this week, and for the education broadband grants, it was a first come, first serve. And so, of course, we know that that is not the best way to allocate resources to where they are needed most. And so there, we've prepared an amendment to add to that bill that will prioritize unserved students and school districts first. So know, Senator Torres Ray, that your comments not only have been heard, but are also well known, and we agree. So you can look for that as we move forward with that as well. Members, are there? But I do think we will be rethinking education, and we live in a world that has an immense amount of new tools that should allow us to provide that in a more equitable manner for all kids. So I appreciate the comments. And Senator Clausen, if you could thank your superintendent for this thoughtful presentation. It's very, very timely and informative.
I will pass that along, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, I don't know that we have any other business before.
Madam Chair, could I ask a question?
Oh, Senator Uyghur, yes.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. We agree about the importance of addressing equity, the transformation we're going through now. Share with us the path for getting there. I earlier mentioned the importance of getting to conference committee, and we have a number of ideas, but ultimately there needs to be a bicameral discussion, and the clock is ticking. So when do you expect the committee actions to be bundled, to go to the floor, and then so that we can get a process to?
Yes. Thank you, Senator Uyghur. Yes, we're all counting the time, looking at the days tick away. We certainly lost about a month while we were trying to regroup the Senate into how we operate virtually. And I'm pleased that the Senate is back to regular order, where we are not only having committees, but we also are meeting on the Senate floor to do the people's work. And as you know, Senator Uyghur, we have been passing bills off the Senate floor directly, which is something that we can do and should do. In fact, the public really appreciates that, especially if there are not fiscal notes attached. The value of being able to vote up or down on a policy is something that the public has longed for. I'm a bit disappointed, Senator Uyghur, that we were not able to do that today with the vaping bills. Those are agreed upon standalone bills that were ready to go right off the floor, both obviously in the Senate and in the House. But going forward, we will continue to do those bills that we can get off the floor as standalone bills. Certainly we can and should do that. You will see when we come into session next week, we will be having some more of those bills. And quite frankly, Senator Uyghur, our leadership, as Senator Kent would know, is also working on kind of doing some pre-packaging there on the floor. So on Monday, you'll see an omnibus bill, for example, that has several things regarding health boards, smaller bills that have been kind of pre-packaged. So I do think our leaders are doing that as they can. And we are well aware of the timelines. There's a great amount to be done. And I believe some of that will be done through those standalone bills, which of course the public looks for, as do we. And of course, when there's finances involved, we know that those will be a financial bill as well. And also just to note, this committee has not been allocated any additional dollars at this point. I want to be very clear about that. We wish there had been. And one of the bills that I think somebody tried to amend on today would have had a financial cost to it. And we just do not have a financial target right now. In fact, our superintendents that I have been speaking with are mostly quite worried, as am I, about what next year is going to look like. Looking at the budget forecast and with education being 41% of our state budget, there's great concern amongst our school leaders that there could actually be some reductions, and that would be very damaging. That's why we're trying to get out the Senate file we heard last week that provides full funding for our schools, all funding appropriated, including the fiscal article that would take them into that next budget cycle with full funding as well, and accounting for new students. So we have those things in mind. We're going to continue to get as much done as we can. And fortunately, education is a bipartisan issue. All Minnesotans realize how important that is. And I look forward to continuing to work in a bipartisan manner to not only pass things out of the Senate, but out of the House as well, and get to the governor's desk.
Madam Chair, just a follow-up. You mentioned there will be pre-packaged agreements from leadership. What's that process?
Well, I can't speak to that. I can tell you that there have been agreements between the House and the Senate to put some of the smaller bills together. The House is not coming into session as often as the Senate is. You might be aware of that. And so I believe they're trying to limit the time that they have on the House floor. Of course, they have twice as many members as well. So maybe there's greater concern there. So I can't really speak to those things, but I can tell you this, that we are laser focused on doing right by our kids, our schools, getting certainty and all appropriated funding out to our schools as quickly as possible. We will continue to hold meetings, we hope, twice a week. And ideally, we would like to process two bills if we can. So with that, members, are there any other questions?
We're not going to meet Monday.
Senator Uyghur, excuse me. Let me just see if there's any other members who have questions. You've had 2 or 3 here. It's only fair. And I see, there is a note here. If you're not speaking, could you please mute your mic? I guess there's a bit of carry back here. All right. Members, I'm not seeing any other speakers. And
Can I ask
so,
one final question?
Senator Uyghur, yes, if you could, I see you have a paper there, Senator Uyghur, if you could combine your thoughts.
I was actually taking a lot of notes from the press conference.
Senator Uyghur, to you.
Yeah, I was taking a lot of notes from the press conference, and the student from Rochester, John Marshall, did great in the hearing just now too. But we're not going to meet Monday, but on Wednesday, it's to be announced. Any idea, just for our own preparation, what we might be addressing on Wednesday?
Excuse me. Thank you. I did the muting myself. Thank you, Senator Uyghur. Yes, we will be meeting on Wednesday. It's a little hard to do that turnaround between Friday and Monday and get accurate and get the public adequate notice as well. So we will be meeting on Wednesday, hopefully on Friday as well. My goal is to have 2 committee meetings per week and try and process several bills during those committee hearings. And members, it will be so much faster, more efficient, more effective, and more transparent to the public if you could kindly get any amendments to Greg Marcus before committee. We'll make sure that every committee member has had a chance to look at those amendments. So I would ask for that. And then please mark on your calendars, we will be meeting on Wednesday. Senator Uyghur, I do not have the agenda in front of me. We do have a number of bills that we have been working through. Our goal is to try and do those things that are not controversial, those things that have broad public support, those things that are necessary and essential for our schools as we travel through this COVID era. So thank you, members. Have a great weekend. And I'm sure we'll talk before. We'll probably see each other on Monday on the floor. But thank you so much. This meeting is adjourned.